Hello, and welcome to the Hippocrates Health Institute in West Palm Beach, Florida. Each week, we host about 60 guests in our unique, lush, healthful environment. We teach the Living Foods lifestyle, which focuses on a diet of organic, living, raw foods such as sprouts, green juices, vegetables, sea vegetables, and soaked and sprouted grains, nuts, and seeds. We employ wheatgrass juice, a powerful cleansing and healing agent that expedites the healing process remarkably well. Hippocrates is not only a health center, it is also a health school, showing how live foods and increased oxygen improve on the state of your health. Tests have proven that enzymes and oxygen nourishment help the body to correct any imbalances or weaknesses that encourage or allow illness. By supplying your system with oxygen and enzymes, we help you rebuild your health. The Institute was started in 1955 by Dr. Ann Wigmore, who healed herself of cancer and shared her wisdom with people who wished to heal naturally. In addition to the Living Foods diet, we focus on all the aspects of a healthy lifestyle. We analyze your blood, and a personalized program will be developed for you. Many problems can be seen through the blood screening process, and specially trained personnel are here at all times to make sure that proper procedures for your health are followed. We also teach you the importance of exercise and rest, the need to heal emotional wounds. Thousands of people have healed themselves by giving their bodies the nutrition needed by every cell and eliminating the toxins that create disease. We know that our immune systems have been designed impeccably. It's just that no one gave us an owner's manual for the proper care and feeding of our amazing human bodies. In this series of programs, you will learn about the inner workings of the body, the importance of detoxing and eliminating, how to best use supplements, how to live practically and healthfully with the combination of the foods we eat. We will answer scores of questions our guests ask about the Living Foods lifestyle. We invite you to join us in person for the 3-week Life Change program we offer at Hippocrates Health Institute. You can reach us at 800-842-2125, also at 561-471-8876, or on the web at www.hippocratesinstitute.org. Welcome to the Hippocrates Lecture on Practical Living with Anna Maria Clement. In this program, Anna Maria explains how to live the Hippocrates lifestyle at home. She covers where your nutrients come from and suggests sources for organic supplies you'll need. Fascinating stories are sprinkled throughout her talk. You'll discover how to plan and prepare your meals and get tips for dealing with friends, family, and social situations. Now, let's join Anna Maria Clement for Practical Living.
So how do we continue a lifestyle like this? How do we do it the right way so that we can get enough nourishment? Because most people, when you get home, will ask you, where do you get your protein from? Do you get enough fat? Do you get enough of anything? Where do you get calcium from? And unless you educated yourself and kept up, you're going to think, oh boy, I'm probably not getting enough, like other people know where they get things from. But anyway, suddenly, when you become vegetarian, you're supposed to know everything. You're supposed to be a professor in everything. And you're supposed to never get a cold. God forbid you get a cold, and you're eating this way. Well, you know, you need to hear the detox lecture. Detox, you know, takes you through that symptoms of colds too, because it actually feels and looks just like a cold, but it isn't. It can take you through fevers and everything. But as your body is cleansing, believe me, you actually go through a lot of funny things, and you just got to support it with living food and everything. So you need to know where you get things from. Now, the first thing, to be able to do this living food program and to get enough nourishment, you need to make 2 green drinks. 2 green drinks. And what that is, and it's about 12 ounces each. Well, sometimes we do 16 ounces, sometimes we do 20 ounces, depending on, especially if we are anemic, we're going to do more. It's 50% sprouts in that juice. And it's 50% vegetables. Now, the sunflower sprouts that we put in our juice, sunflower, has all the amino acids that you need. What a baby food, what a great source of protein. And it grows for 7 days. And it's been found that on the 7th day, it actually had maximum of nourishment and energy to give you. And you can just picture, if you let that sunflower grow more, of course it's going to become a plant with hundreds of seeds on it. So it's a mother that's dividing all the energy to those seeds. So you take it on the 7th day, which we do for the juice, boy, you get tons of nourishment. It has tons of vitamin E. Well, all sprouts have C too. But E, you often look in all the wrong places, like especially as we grow older and menopause, and men needs to take care, and we find vitamin E in a rancid bottle. Don't do that. Of course, there are some companies that make good vitamin E if we need it for some time, but otherwise, get it from your sprouts. And it has more beta-carotene than a carrot juice ever did. And carrot juice, if you read Norman Walker, you read books from before, then we're all stepping stone to each other. 10 years from now, somebody will say, something different than we do. Of course, living food, you will never change. But the sweet, the sugar in the carrots is something we try to stay away from. So we don't have carrots in there. We have pea greens. Sunflower and pea greens will add an extensive amount of protein to your green drink and diet. And you can take other sprouts too. These are the biggies that we put in there. So if you had trays of sunflower and pea greens, it would take about half a tray of sunflower. Or if you buy them, you get a big bunch of sunflower, a big bunch of pea greens, and a few stalks of celery, and like a half a cucumber. Maybe if you have parsley, take a handful of parsley, a handful of spinach. You have it all in a bowl, and then you take it through your juicer. And the best way to do is to take a little bit, a pinch of sunflower, let it go down, a stalk of celery, a little piece of your cucumber, and go around like that. Because if you just do one thing, like sunflower, it can make too thick juice. And then sometimes the machine also gets propped up. So you rotate in this ball that you have. It's the easiest way. And then you get nice fresh juice, easy, and you clean the machine and you're done. Now, when it comes to the machine, well, let me first write down celery, cucumber, and you go organic here, kale, parsley, and of course, the more anemic you are, the more dark green vegetables you need. We have great stories about what juicing does. One lady came here, Helen, she was in our last newsletter, and this nearly 10 years ago she came in here and she was dying from cancer. Well, doctors had told her that. She had had all the chemo and radiation that you can't take. She was so anemic she could not take anything more. And she had multiple cancers. And I tell you, when she went home after 3 weeks, her husband made her 20-ounce glasses 3-4 times a day, put every weed, everything he could in that was dark green, and you started to see her blood come up. Her liver that was so swollen when she came down to normal. She's totally recovered. Actually, she's healthier than her kids. But she did it through juicing, because sometimes we're not able to eat, enough to feed ourselves. When you juice, you get plenty of nourishment. Of course, we need to eat and get fiber that way. The thing with juicing, there's nothing new about juicing. It's been around for hundreds of years. Juice therapy works faster than any other therapy because there is no fiber. So you need to get a good juicer. And it's an investment that's worth doing. And you know, when you have a hobby, you tend to, like Brian and I rollerblade and we scuba dive. When you first start with these hobbies, you buy the cheapest stuff there is, and then you realize if you want to have fun and you want to survive, you end up buying the most expensive gear there is. Well, when it comes to juicer, you know, it's like we don't want to spend a lot of money. We want to buy the cheapest stuff. But you know what? When it breaks, that's the problem, because then we tend to not get another one, and we kind of give up. So this is an investment where we have to go best first and you first, because this is something we will be making twice a day. And it needs to be a machine that you love, you know. So you got to try, you know, see around. Sunflower and pea greens needs a wheatgrass juicer. So a centrifugal juicer will not make good juice. It needs to be a grinding machine. It needs to grind. When you centrifuge, it deoxygenates the juice so fast that, you know, you drink it because you want the oxygen and the enzyme. So you don't want it to be a machine that overheats either. So it overheats your enzyme. Because enzymes only survive 118 Fahrenheit, you know. And a lot of centrifugal can go very, very high, much higher than that. So we need to go organic with vegetables. And, you know, if you have a hard time to find that, maybe you have to find sources. There are a lot of UPS sources that will ship for you, you know, worst case. Otherwise, most big cities have the farmer's market, and some cities have it twice a week, some once. And you go straight to farmer's market, or if you're lucky, you can go to the farmer and just pick up stuff. Otherwise, you go through the health food stores, you know. And yes, it is expensive to buy organic, but, you know, when you think of things that you will not buy, you know, I mean, if you go totally vegan, vegetarian, there'll be no more alcohol, there'll be no more big sugar treats. You will actually make a lot of treats yourself, I show you. And, you know, meat costs a lot, and dairy costs a lot. So I say if it's 50-50, it's fine. It will certainly not be more than you had before. The only thing that's more is that in the beginning you do investments in a juicer. And either you sprout yourself, you grow the sprouts yourself, or you buy them. Now there's two ways you can grow them. You can grow them in soil, like we've done for thousands of years, or you can grow them hydroponic. Hydroponic means there's no soil involved. It's just a sprinkler system that goes on a few times an hour, and you're independent. I mean, you can live on the 20th floor and you don't need to pull soil up there. And we say it's 50-50. Yes, you lose trace minerals, but then again, you eat seaweed, you eat, hopefully, only organically grown vegetables and fruits. So you do get a lot of trace minerals through those foods. So we can grow hydroponic, you know. And I think really you will find it's the future for a lot of people to do. And you can go to Disney World and they have a whole part of Disney that's hydroponic to show lettuce and everything. A lot of health food stores, we were up in Canada, have a big section where they grow their own lettuce and they do it indoor in the health food store hydroponic. It's beautiful. So you can grow most things hydroponic too, especially the sprouts, and even the wheatgrass can be done that way. So we go out of our way to find organic. You know, in Europe, we're going organic slowly but surely because we found that it destroyed our groundwaters. The pesticides and fertilizers that we've been using for the last 100 years have really destroyed our groundwaters. And, you know, they found that if we can support farmers to become organic, especially in Sweden, I was home last summer, and they give much more support to a farmer that turns organic to one that is not, that's staying commercial, like the standard. So it's turning over because the countries are so small, and, you know, it's much more pressure what we have. You know, if we don't have good water, what are we going to have? And it's definitely a bigger problem than what you see in a big country, because, you know, you have more resources too. So we got to go organic, and we got to support organic farming. So we could talk about that forever. Now, this juice, can I make it in the morning and then drink it during the day? Well, we prefer that you make it twice a day. But if you rush to work in the morning and you're not coming home until really late, well, then make it in the morning and then you bring it in an airtight container and drink it during the day. Here we drink it 9, 11, and 4, just also to give more nourishment, more liquid. Twice a day would be enough. And so maybe you drink 12 ounces in the morning, and then you drink the rest in the midday when you need your energy boost. Otherwise, you make it fresh. And I tell you, if you're now dealing with cancer, arthritis, you name it, then you need to do it fresh, twice a day, at least you do. Another wonderful story is a young lady came here a few years ago with rheumatoid arthritis. She was very crippled when she came, a young mother with 2 daughters, and went through the program and really got it, really understood that this is what I want to do, and felt so much better within the 3 weeks. Well, went home, did it to the T, and after a while, after 6 months, 6 months seems to be the tempting time when we start just slacking, and that's when you need to come back. I always say, come for a week, come back. Well, what happens then? She felt so great, and she was so mobile that she thought, I'll have the kids and my husband's food because they were not doing this. So little by little, and it went well. So then little by little more. And before you knew it, she was totally back on their diet. And it takes a while before all the symptoms shows up again. And the thing is, when it shows up, it comes with a revenge. So it was a totally much more powerful arthritis she got back, and now she sat in the wheelchair, which took a few months to get there, of course. Now, this time, she came to visit for a consultation, and her husband drove her up in the wheelchair. I couldn't believe it, because all I knew was how good she was doing. Well, this time, he was a part of it. He says, I understand I need to be a part of it. So we sat down, we went through the whole 9 yards. 3 months later, she walks up here by herself. And guess what she says? The first thing she says, I love that machine. And I thought, what machine did she get? Did she get an electromagnetic unit? What, magnets? What did she get? No, the juicer. She juiced herself back to health. I mean, nothing can be faster than that. And realize that when there is no fiber, because we don't have the organs like our great parents, or, you know, like the liver, the pancreas, the kidneys, boy, they had so much stronger organs that we have. And so we cannot digest the same way. So, of course, juice is really easy to digest. We need to have juices. They should be a part of your life. You know, this should be a part of your children's life. Now, if a child gets on this and you don't put anything sweet, they probably will not drink it. But then add an apple, because in juice form, you can mix fruits and vegetables. In juice form, not in solid form. So throw in an apple, and they'll drink all the sprouts you want. And it's still okay. Or maybe I throw in a carrot for them. So when we have kids here, then we actually make a little bit different juice. But most of us need to be stricter with sugar. And so give the sugar, give the fruitification there. Break the fast. Well, we start with wheatgrass juice. Wheatgrass juice, 2 ounces. Now, wheatgrass is a fantastic food. It has all the minerals you need. It's a complete protein, loaded with vitamin C and E and beta-carotene. And you know it, because if you drink your 2 ounces, you know it. It really fills you up. And sometimes, of course, if it's brand new for you, you know, you might feel queasy, because it's such a liver detox. And so that's something that will just disappear. You know, if it's really bad, hold off a few days, eat living food, and then you can go back on it, and you won't have that reaction. Funniest thing, last time I was pregnant, I did not think that wheatgrass juice would be the best. You know, you have tiny morning sickness, but not much. But still, I didn't try it before in pregnancy. Well, this time I came home with a lot of wheatgrass, and I thought I made it in the morning for the family, but then nobody was ready to drink it. So I'm standing there with 4 ounces in a cup, and I thought, oh, well, I'll drink it. So I drank it, and it was the opposite of what I thought. It was the best thing. It balanced my blood sugar, any morning sickness gone. It was the best thing. So after that, I drank wheatgrass all day long, I mean, especially in the morning. We just had a lady, an 8-month pregnant lady here, and she asked me, do I dare to drink wheatgrass while I'm here? And I said, it's the best thing you ever could do. So she went through the last time of her pregnancy and had a beautiful birth of a daughter. And yesterday I got a call from a grandmother, a really happy grandmother. Her daughter had gone through the program, and all through her pregnancy I counseled her through the phone. And so she asked me yesterday, now, she's been drinking wheatgrass all through the pregnancy. Can she do it now? I said, you bet. She managed to do it through the pregnancy. Now it's easy. And it's great for the nursing. It makes great milk for the baby. So wheatgrass we start the morning with, because it's the best time to do it on an empty stomach. That's when it feels the best too. So start with that, and then you can drink your green drink right after. So you can have a 12 ounce or 16 ounce right after that, okay? And if you don't have time to drink much more, because we want to drink a lot in the morning, well, at least have this fresh, because now you have your carbs. Instead of having pancakes and sausage and toast, which are also carbs and protein, now you get your carbs this way. Now, if I have diabetes, that's not going to be enough. I need something sturdier. So then we make you a cereal, or we just sprout some seeds, or we sprout some grains for you to hold up until lunch. But we only drink until lunch, because the heaviest detox hours are between 3 a.m. and till noon. And if we can drink and help our kidneys and lymph and everything to flush out, believe me, that's the best. So we would only eat, like for diabetes, for hypoglycemia, we would eat for maybe a year or so, we would eat something in the morning, and eventually we should be cured out of that. We should not have to eat in the morning, because we really got all our sugars here. We are full of it. Now, then we want to make a lemonade, because it's also a great cleanse. You might not have time to drink that in the morning, so bring it with you, so you can drink it during the morning hours. Take a lemon, take a quart or a half a quart at least of good distilled water or purified water, and then you can put cayenne in. Cayenne is a lifesaver. It opens capillaries, gets your circulation going. And of course, great vitamin C too. And then you can put stevia in there. Stevia is a natural sweetener. Instead of maple syrup and honey, you put stevia. Stevia grows like weeds. It's big bushes, grows in South America, has been used as a sweetener for hundreds of years. And we really started to use it, and Japan did lots of research about it. They were fed up with NutraSweet, Sweet and Low, which you should never touch. You'd rather have white sugar than have those chemical sugars. Things we have been brainwashed to deal with. It's unbelievable. It's walked over our head. Now, stevia we can all use, but it's very sweet. It's the carb sweet. It's like wheatgrass sweet. So you need so little, like a few drops in that lemonade, and you have a sweet juice. Our kids love that. They make that every morning. Of course, they use much more stevia than I can handle, but they want it sweet, but it's really palatable. So you can always use that instead of other things. So now, if we needed cereal, maybe we eat it at home here, or we just take a piece of manna bread. Or you make your own bread. I'll show you how you do manna bread. But all breads, we toast. We toast, because you break down the carbohydrates. It's easier to digest for you. So all bread we toast. Now, then, let me show you. We need to have 2 salads a day. And that also is 50% sprouts and 50% vegetables. Okay, now these are many more sprouts. Here we use fenugreek sprouts, which are great liver cleanser. We use alfalfa, cabbage, radish. We use sunflower and buckwheat, of course. We use pea sprouts. We use anything we can sprout, and most things you can sprout. Then we use the vegetables. We use, of course, all kinds of organic leafy lettuce. And we use anything that's organic, from cabbage, from broccoli, cauliflower, you name it. Anything you put in. Of course, cucumber, red peppers, radishes, pea sprouts, anything. So this I don't need to make fresh twice a day. This I make fresh once a day. So I make a big bowl and I take off for the other meal because it's still alive. It will still grow in your refrigerator. We do that for the kids. We take off what they need for the next day for school. So they have a lunch box and they take it out in the morning. Well, if you're going to rush to work the next day, you better treat yourself the same way. So you pack it so that the next morning you can just put it in a lunch box. And even if you eat out, you need to support yourself. If you eat out a lot, believe me, you're only going to find like pizzeria or restaurant food. You're not going to find living foods. So you can complement. If you are going to eat out, you can order a salad and or without the chef or without whatever it's called, and you just tell them that you're a vegan vegetarian. When you're a vegan vegetarian, every chef knows that you will not eat fish, you will not eat any dairy, you will not eat any egg. Every chef is trained in to know what different kinds of vegetarian is. And a cousin of mine is a chef in Sweden, and she said, can you believe it? We actually have a 2-week course in living food. That was such a good thing to hear. Yeah, so that might take time here. But they know what vegan vegetarian means. So don't just say I'm a vegetarian, because then you are going to get eggs and all kinds of stuff. So then you get that, and then when everybody got their food, here comes the Ziploc bag that you have in your bag, and you pour that onto your salad, and you will never be thrown out. People will come up to you and say, where did you get this stuff? It looks so good. Wish we had that. So, do it. Take care of yourself. Be a step ahead, because nobody's going to do it for you, unless you're lucky and you have a great organic restaurant right where you work. That's very rare. But in future, in 10 years, I'm sure there's going to be much more. You'll see. Hopefully, we'll get fast food, raw, living food, organic. You probably will see it. So this we want to make as nice and as colorful as we can. Then we need dressings. Most of you can eat salads with a good dressing. And don't take away dressings that your family liked. If you're going to introduce this, believe me, you don't take away what you had before. You add this to what you had, because if you take away, it's very intimidating. It always backfires, but you can add it. So don't take away the dressing that they liked, Maybe you can sneak in an alternative for what they like. I always say that we had this wonderful girl, 10 years old, from Toronto, came with brain tumor. They had done surgery already, but they couldn't take the whole tumor because then she would have totally been handicapped. Well, they had her on heavy doses of steroids, so you know how big you get from them. She sat here on Monday morning, and her mother had piled up a salad on her plate from like what you had today here. And she was a junk food eater. And she looked at me with her beautiful eyes. I walked by, and she said, if I had French dressing, I could eat this. I jumped in my car so fast. I got her 10 bottles of French dressing. And if that made her eat this, believe me, that worked out really good. So you'd get a better alternative, Now, you can make dressings yourself, and it's nothing new under the sun with this. I just have the finishing touches great. You know, we use oil sparingly. You can use olive oil, you can use grapeseed oil, and you can use flax oil. Well, there's different places where you live, you have different also cold pressed oils. But I don't use a lot. I just use like 2 tablespoons. Then I use a few tablespoons of water to dilute it. And if you love vinegar, vinegar does not mix with food. Even dietitians are learning now that vinegar ferments, delays your whole digestion. So if you love it, you could take lemon. You could take lemon. It's not for the long run. I mean, if we can stay out of it, it's better. But for the beginning, put some lemon in there. Not too much, then it gets bitter. Just a little bit. And then you take an herb of something you like, and not just a pinch, a lot of an herb. So it's really the oil in that herb, or an herb with a little bit of oil. So if you take basil, lots of it. If you like oregano, if you like rosemary or dill or whatever, lots. If you want it saltier, we have the Bragg's. Bragg's aminos is not fermented. It's a soy product. So of course, we're not going to OD on that. And when we use it, we will dilute it 2 times with water. It's too much sodium. It's a sodium. Remember this. Every cell in your body has a motor. Every cell has a motor, and it's potassium and sodium, just like you learn in chemistry. K plus potassium and A plus sodium. Sodium should be weaker intracellular than the potassium. That's what you get. When you drink juices, when you eat salads, it has a perfect balance. You don't have to look for it. But you know, when we add salt, then we mess up on this fine chemistry. And hypertension is only the beginning, you know. So be careful. Then there are other salts you can buy, especially in the United States. Now you have shakers of seaweed. You can buy a kelp shaker, a dulse shaker, or a nori. These are seaweeds. And you could just pour that in to make it a little bit saltier. Well, this thing you can make ahead. Garlic. We want to press a garlic or 2 in there too. Unless if you can't have it, then stay out of it. But this I could all make ahead of time and keep it 3-4 days in the refrigerator. But the last thing I do, I take an onion, I cut it in half, and I mince it, the French way, so it's really fine. And I take now this bowl of herb with a little bit of oil, and I put the onion in there, and I let it sit about 10 minutes. Then I take the big salad bowl, because at home you won't make a buffet, I don't think. You will put all the goodies in one big bowl, and when you put this mix in there, you think you're really getting something, because it's smothering every leaf and every sprout in there. It's great to do for kids, because our kids, when they stand with the olive oil bottle, half of it goes, and the whole salad is swimming. This way I can control that oil intake. So that's a nice one. Everybody loves that. So get the herb that really works for you. But it's the crunchy onion that helps there at the end. If you want to make a pure, stay out of oil, pure veggie dressing, you take a cucumber. And you put the cucumber in your blender. Just cut it in slices, and put a little bit of water, put it on, and it will become juice in a second. Although that's not how we make cucumber juice, but for this it's okay. Then I put maybe some avocado in there to make it thicker, or just some sprouted seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, something to make it thicker. Then I fix it up with an herb. Maybe this time I take a little bit of ginger and fix it up with the Bragg's or nori shakers. So that's an easy one to do. Now, don't think that you can just put things in the blender, put it on, and it's going to taste good. You have to try your way. A lot of times you see recipes, when the terrain and the map doesn't fit, you go for the terrain, right? So you might have to work with it. And it should be a nice creamy dressing. Of course, that dressing doesn't keep. That you do for the day. You're not going to have that the next day. Yeah, but especially because both avocado and seeds are very rich in protein, so they don't last long. Avocado we use twice a week, so 2 avocados a week. Seeds, depending on if we're going to stay 100% raw, we could have them more often, but nuts for sure no more than twice a week. Yeah. And there's a lot of things we can do. I mean, avocado, you can just have dishes. You can make guacamole out of it. You can have a lot of fun. Nori sheets. Our kids love to work with nori sheets and fill all kinds of things. And of course, guacamole is a great thing. And you roll it in and you eat it instead of fish sushi. You make your own sushi rolls. Have a lot of fun with that. So don't overdo these things. They're very rich. You don't need to overdo them, you know. Now, then we can dehydrate and still stay on the living food diet. When we dehydrate, then we keep it alive. We keep it below 118 Fahrenheit, and that's the cutting edge of how long enzymes can survive. Dehydrator, I should say. And I have one here to show you. And there are many on the market. You don't need this big at home. This is commercial for us. But the good thing, we moved in a new house 2 years ago, and there was this huge microwave oven in the house, and I could take that out and put our dehydrator right in there. So it was a good space. You don't want to microwave your food. You don't want to nuke your food, or you know, you don't want to be around it. No matter how little time we have, we don't have that hurry. So you can dehydrate a lot of things. I'll show you how we make bread, for example. You can take grains like rye, like oats, like spelt. You go organic, of course, like camus. If you want to make bread that looks like what you had before. We don't use wheat. Boy, we use wheat in a lot of ways with wheatgrass, but we don't use wheat. We give it a break. For the next year or two, we give wheat a break because we have abused it for so many years, and we've used the white flour that was enriched, and you know, it was really causing a lot of allergies. If I took 10 people off the street and took them off wheat, 9 of them would the next day say, you know, I breathe easier today. I don't have all this mucus when I wake up in the morning. I definitely will eliminate easier too. So what I do with these grains, I sprout them because they all have gluten. You know, spelt and camus is Egyptian wheats, and it's ancient Egyptian wheats, and they are okay, but they all have gluten. So what you do, you soak. 12 hours you soak these grains. So you take a bowl, you put them in water, let them sit overnight. You have to soak every seed, nut, grain, and bean, because within them there is an enzyme inhibitor. It's a tiny poison that makes it survive weather and insects and everything. So, for example, when I opened Tutankhamun's pyramid, they found wheat berries in there that were thousands of years old. And they could sprout. So it's like open sesame. You cannot digest most of the proteins. You cannot digest unless you soaked it. So you rinse it really well, and then you sprout it. And I found these things are easy. You can sprout them in a colander. So just get a colander, like the strainer at home. Let them sit in there and sprout. You rinse it morning and evening. Now you have the sprout. You have a tiny tail on the seed. Now they're ready. Then I can take them through the wheatgrass juicer. So don't take too much, but take a little bit at a time. Let it go through. No pulp. No juice will come, only pulp. So you take the pulp and you fix it up with bread spices, if you like anise, if you like fennel, cumin, whatever you like to put in there. And you make little patties, like they look like veggie burgers, because they cannot be thick. You know, if you have it, like I keep it on 105, if you have it on that, it's going to take a long time if it's a thick bread. So you make a thin bread, so it becomes like a cracker, but a little better. Then you put them in here. There's none in here, but for example, if I have the trays, I just put them like this. And the next morning I have fresh bread. And it's live bread. You know, and I can make veggie burger. So now I can take beans. The only beans we don't use, unless you're brought up on them, is black beans and soybeans. All the other beans are great. Lima beans, fava beans, zucchini, of course, pinto, kidney beans, lentils, you name them. Different kinds, like the big fava and lima, you need to soak 24 hours. But all the others, 12 hours, chickpeas are great, 12 hours soaking, 24 hours sprouting. Take it through the juicer. Of course, a veggie burger, you want to taste good. So now maybe you want Mexican spices, Indian spices, you fix them up. And I also take a little bit of onion through here and a little bit of a piece of carrot, so you make it sweet a little bit. Make veggie burger. 12 hours later, you have veggie burgers. And you can actually mix them because in food combining, grains and beans are fine. So you could have them with you. And you see, we have here, we have dehydrated red peppers. Believe me, this is a treat. Our kids look upon this as chocolate. I mean, this is so delicious. And that was the same. Let's see what else we have. Here we have a mix of different nuts and vegetables. There's kale and all kinds of cabbage, and there's also dulse, a seaweed. And that's a great thing you can put on your salad, add to that. I think that's what we had in here. Yeah, different mixes. So 12 hours. Unless it's heavier pieces, it's going to take 24 hours. You can make a pizza in here. Of course, it's going to be a cracker pizza, but it tastes just like it. It satisfies that old pizza taste buds you have. Now, what happens, you take rye. Now I don't use the juicer, I use the blender. So I take the rye, put it in the blender, tiny bit of water, just enough to make a pancake batter cream, and fix it up. Cayenne is great, oregano, basil, you know, fix it up so it tastes good. Then I pour it on the tray. And you need, see here we have, what do you call, it's a wax paper, but you can buy Teflon. Yeah, you can buy things like that. So you can buy it through the company that sells the machine too, because the other trays just have a screen. And you need a screen when you do veggies, because they'll never get done on this. So that's why they put them on top here. So I pour that batter in the middle, and then I just move it around so it spreads all over. Then I can take red peppers, fresh of course, take fresh red peppers. I take mushrooms maybe, shiitake, and then I take, what do you want on that? Onions, of course, garlic, and then I spread oregano and basil on top of it again. So you make a pizza. You have that done in 24 hours. So we've had a lot of jokes in lectures about, yeah, order a pizza. 24 hours later. But you know what you do then? You fill the whole machine and you have it for a long time. So whatever you like, you fill the whole machine. So when I make bread, there's only bread in that machine. And when it's veggie burgers, only that. You can make potato chips. We don't use white potato, so we use sweet potato. Now we put sweet potato, just get a potato cutter and put before you put them on there, what you do, you take a big bowl and you make a mix. We take Bragg's and water, loads of garlic, lots of spices, if you like it to be Italian, Mexican, Indian, whatever spices. But you need more than you think because it goes away, you know, it evaporates a lot. So you let it sit for half an hour in that, and then you drain it and try to get most of the goodies in there, and you spread it on here, but not with the wax, with the screen. Takes They take 48 hours. So here we have potato chips in 48 hours, pizza in 24. Yeah, but hey, it's well worth it. So then I fill the whole machine with that, you know. So that's like I don't have to do it over and over again. Lasts for a long time. You'd be surprised how filling this is. And these are great onions and scallions, anything you can dehydrate and add to your salad. It tastes so wonderful. It makes it so much better. So you got to get a machine where you can control the temperature. Don't get one where there's no control, because it will not be 118, you know. It'll be 200 something. Now, then the next thing, we do eat some cooked food eventually. Of course, it's not something we have to do, but it's something that we teach here too, that it's okay to do eventually. In the beginning, if we're dealing with a problem that we want to get rid of course, then we stay 100% raw. And the dehydrator helps it a lot, because you can have a lot of fun. You make cookies in there. You take almonds or walnuts or pecan, put them in the food processor, fix it up maybe with pumpkin spice and things, and put them in little cookies. You have them done in 12 hours. So, you know, fill the machine with that one day. And you can have them as a snack. You can make sesame cookie. You know, what's very popular now is flaxseed cookie. You know, flax seeds, people soak them in water, and then you blend them and make flaxseed cookies. Fix them up with spices. When it comes to spices, you need to get good ones. What we tend to do is that we keep spices at home for 20 years. Get rid of them. Get new, fresh, get organic. Or you also have to make sure they're non-irradiated, because now somebody had fun with nuclear waste and they thought, why don't we radiate our food? Let's nuke it all. Well, theoretically, it sounded very good because it killed E. coli. It killed a lot of stuff that, you know, we could have problems with. Well, but it killed the whole thing anyway. So, because what you do when you radiate is that you stop the division of life. And we would not be here unless we divided and divided. So you stop it. So now you can see strawberries on the shelf. They're 15 weeks old. And you know they don't last that long. So we do it with meat. We do it with fish. We do it with milk. We don't do it with organically grown foods. So now, when it comes to cooked food, we need to stay pure. So we only eat 20%, which means once a day, after a big salad, we have something cooked. And things like grains, like millet, quinoa, amaranth, are gluten-free. Teff, buckwheat. Then when I cook, I can cook different ways. I can cook in a rice steamer and just use the rice recipe, or I can cook in a stainless steel pot. You get rid of all your aluminum, I hope. And so I take 2.5 cups of water. I bring it up to boil. And then I put it on low. So as soon as it's boiling, I put it down on low. And then I add vegetables. Okay, now I add things like root vegetables, parsnips, root celery, rutabaga, whatever you like, some onions. Chop it up, put it in. And then I leave it for about 5 minutes. Then I take it off. And you wait about half an hour. After that, the vegetables, in half an hour, the vegetable will be done on the after heat. So that's a great thing. If you got to rush to work, you can make that in the morning, put it in the thermos, and then bring it to work. Some people just put boiling water over the grains and put it in a thermos and let it sit overnight. You can do that too. So that's the same way with millet, quinoa, amaranth. Millet grows all over the world. Quinoa is a Central American grain. Amaranth is a Mexican Indian grain. Teff is an Ethiopian staple. Buckwheat you find very much all over the world, but especially Russia, Poland, we use a lot, although we use more called kasha, which is toasted buckwheat. It's toasted, so it's not going to sprout, you know, so you don't go through that process. You cook that a little bit different. But all of them are gluten-free, and all of them are alkaline. Okay? So we sprout. Now, if I'm going to cook beans and I want to make maybe hummus, I mean, you can eat the beans sprouted. You sprout them for 48 hours or another day. But if I'm going to cook them, I soak 12 hours. I sprout 24 hours. And then when you cook, you know, if you're going to do this each time you want to make a bean dip or a bean soup or a hummus or something, make a lot when you do it, and then you can actually, when the whole process is done, which will be done so much faster because you already worked 36 hours. So do a lot, and then when it's all done, you drain it, you cool it, you put it in the freezer. So then you can take it out for things. So you have great recipes for hummus, which is chickpeas. You put some organic tahini with it, some lemon and lots of garlic, and make dishes out of that. Then we don't use white potato. White potato, it's very starchy, very, very acidic. If you ever made potato juice, you would know. And potato juice we make, if you have severe arthritis, it's very rich in potassium. And you would take like 3 big Idaho-sized potatoes, take it through the juicer, let it sit for about 5-10 minutes, and boy, you would see the difference. You would see the starch separate. This juice is actually good for you. This starch you don't want in your body. So if I let that starch sitting there in an hour, I would have to use a knife to get it out of there to clean it. I know. We had a restaurant owner here a few weeks ago. After this class, he said, I'm never serving white potato ever again. There will be sweet potato in my restaurant. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, so yams, sweet potato. Yams are, you know, an African, and the Mexican, and sweet potato is an African potato. Well, they're so much easier to digest. Of course, now, if we had sugar problem, we would be, you know, serious. We would not have too much of that right now. But eventually, it could definitely take the place of the white potato. So you can make a lot of dishes. Just to tell you what the vegetarian restaurants do, they take the sweet potato, mash it, put some nutmeg in it, fix it up like you did with no milk. If you want milk, you could use rice milk. If it's for a party and you want milk, use rice milk. Soy, we don't really use much at all. It's very mucus forming, and a lot of people have allergies or develop allergies very fast. So they take an oven, like glass oven tray, and they put a layer of that. Then they take kasha, which is buckwheat, but it's toasted. If you make it right, you follow directions on the paper and you fix it up, which means you cook 2.5 cups of water first, and then when it's put on low, then you add 1 cup of kasha, and you just let it evaporate like if you cook rice. And they do layer after layer. Then you could slice a beet, a cooked beet, and you could put that over. So this is party time. Now, that's not something you take every day. And squash is a great food. Squash, a lot of restaurants use too, like they take the little acorn squash. All you do, you cut it in half. When you bake it, you leave the seeds in there, and you bake it in like 380 for an acorn. Little acorn takes about half an hour. A big spaghetti squash takes an hour. But also that one, cut it in half, leave the seeds in. Then after, I scoop the seeds out, and I can take the millet, and I can put the millet in and have for a party. It's a nice dish too. Squash is a great food. Lots of beta-carotene and all of these things too. Pasta. Pastas that you have, well, we're no wheat pasta. So now it's easy. There's so much pasta out there. Of course, you don't want to eat heavy flour products anyway, especially if you do have digestive problems. But, you know, for parties and kids, you have soba noodles. And you have quinoa noodles. There's no limit. It just goes on and on. It needs to say no wheat, because we're taking a vacation for a year or two. And then when you go back to wheat, it will be sprouted wheat. So you don't go back to the other. Now, what am I going to put on pasta? Tomato sauce doesn't fit. Tomatoes are a fruit. We serve them here. If they're wine ripe and organic, we serve them for breakfast. So they don't mix at all. But now I can make the same sauce instead of tomato. I take the blender, I put red peppers in, oregano and basil, olive oil, lots of garlic, and you have a red pepper sauce instead. Or you just take basil and olive oil. So that's about it. And steamed veggies, of course, you know. But that's about it of cooked food. Now, you know, we have to play. We have to have fun with this. So, you know, a lot of things, like when our kids ever get tired of eating the salad as it is, I throw in the nori sheets, and they love that. And they can put the salad in there and eat it like rolls and have much more fun. We add them, for example, now we found hemp seeds, and we can put hemp seeds on the salad. We can do our own gomasio. We can do our own sesame. Just toast the sesame. You can toast them in the dehydrator. And instead of salt, you can just take the nori or kelp and put on the sesame. And you make your own gomasio, and you put it over your salad. So it has more flavor. Try not to overdo oil, because when you look at red blood cells, this is how they should look. But when we eat oil, immediately they cause this. It's called rouleau, and they stick together, and we feel tired. You know, the reason I became vegetarian, the first salad I had in my life, I was 15 years old. This is how my blood always looked after a meal. My mother was a fantastic cook, but you could not do anything but sleep after the meal, because you were absolutely full of fat and protein and sugar. Now, this must have been how it looked after the first salad I had in my life, because I had so much energy. My brother and I looked at each other. This is how we want to feel. Thank you. I think we're done. Thank you.
Hippocrates is a 501c3 nonprofit educational organization. Our lifelong mission is to educate people on how to live a healthy lifestyle. Whether you are an alumnus watching this program for a review or seeing our work for the first time via these programs, we hope you will learn, grow, heal, and live to your highest potential. If we can assist you to do so, it is our honor, our privilege, and the reason we are here.